Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today is day two. Um, Not a bad day out there. Haven't gotten out for a walk or anything yet, but as you might be able to tell by my black circles around my eyes, unfortunately, last night wasn't a much better night in terms of sleep. Running on about 5 nights now with somewhere around 3 to 4 hours of sleep each night. So it's getting a little old, but it's not my first time experiencing that. So unfortunately, sometimes it can last a week, sometimes it might last 2 weeks, but eventually I'll usually get to the point where my body and my brain just get so tired that I collapse. And I might get fortunate enough then at some point to get about 12 hours sleep in one night. Um, Anyways, so even just going to bed last night, I found myself, I was still in a really, really high state of arousal, and I've had a hard time trying to come down from that. So I just had a nice warm Epsom salt bath and listening to some Nora Jones because she's phenomenal, and hopefully that will help to relax me a little bit today. I still have a couple of chores to do and stuff around the house. Unfortunately, I haven't accomplished a lot yet today, but um, I got to learn to be patient with myself. So, it is what it is. Anyways, I really hope this is recording because it's painful having to do it over and over again. Uh, so, as I said, today is day two, and I'm already finding myself starting to second guess this decision a little, um, which is pretty typical for me. Um, I've been questioning my reasons, reassessing my reasons for wanting to do it, and questioning myself about my motives and intentions, and wanting to make sure that they're pure, which I believe that they are. I've been thinking and worrying a little bit about some of the judgments and criticisms that I might even eventually get, and even kind of trying to prepare myself for those. So the irony is when I step back and I start to question myself about that, I start to realize that I haven't even had to face any of those things yet, thank God, and hopefully won't, but that would be totally expected. Um, at some point along the way. And I guess that kind of stands out to me because I'm one of the things that I've really started to learn to look for is patterns. Um, Strategic intervention taught me that. But it's taught me to look for patterns in my own, behavior and stuff, so that gives you an opportunity to change them once you become conscious about it. So I'm going to try to pace myself and learn to sit back and cut myself some slack. And I do have a little bit of a tendency to overanalyze everything. So that obviously probably stems from, my fear about vulnerability. And when I think about that, I realize that vulnerability is probably one of my greatest fears. Um, you'll notice that I'm looking to the side a lot today because I actually did some in preparation for this. And again, it's one of those things I want to feel prepared, and I don't want to waste anybody's time, so I want to make this as productive as possible. But at the same time, and it's good to have notes because you have something to refer to, so you don't have to keep it all in your head, especially when you're running on as little sleep as what I currently am. But the downfall is, when you're reading from paper, it kind of tends to be a little bit more stressful. So bear with me. Anyways, one of the things that I do want to make perfectly clear about this whole thing is that this journey for me uh, is it's supposed to be about a process of exploration and discovery. Um, my intention is to allow you to witness this process as I go through it. Um, as imperfect and raw and messy and unsexy and sometimes probably even boring as it might be, um, so that you can get a glimpse behind the curtain of the facade that I think many people, if not most people suffering from a mental illness, typically tries to. They spend their whole lives trying to hide behind it, and I know I certainly have in many many ways. So that's what this whole thing is about for me. Um, because I think that it's powerful if you give people an opportunity to really look inside and glimpse behind the curtain and see what people are struggling with, then hopefully that's what's going to increase some of the awareness around what it's like to suffer with something like this. Um, it is in no way, shape, or form intended to be a call for pity, a blame or shame game. Um, a feeble attempt to score 5 minutes of fame because it's not really that's not really my game, uh, or a means to publicly proclaim myself as any kind of a victim. And that's a really big one for me, because something that I learned a really long time ago is that victimhood has no power, and that's the last place in the world that I think any of us want to be. I truly believe in taking ownership over our lives and ourselves and our lives. And one of the benefits that I'm hoping that it's going to come out of this is that I want it to be an opportunity to have a conversation during which we can all hold ourselves a little bit more accountable, and myself included in that. Just in terms of the things we say, the judgments that we make, the our perceptions around things. um, I'm really hoping that this conversation will allow us to make ourselves a little bit more accountable, and also help us to drop, some of the judgment, and try to focus a little bit more on curiosity and personal growth, because that is my game. Um, I'm well aware that we've all had difficulties and challenging times in our lives. Um, but there's a really important key that I feel like is really going to be beneficial to helping people understand mental illness in the best way possible. And that is to begin to realize that the only thing that separates us in terms of those who suffer from mental illness and those who don't, um, is that I know we've all had difficulties and challenges in our lives, but I think the main key in understanding the difference between us is that people who suffer from mental health and addictions have, you know, it's the way that some of those challenges and difficulties have impacted us. And so, ultimately, to sum that up, what I'm trying to say is your experience may not necessarily be